This is something that is near and dear to my heart. I think a lot of people who, you know, follow some of the other games I play might appreciate this. This is something that I have had a lot of passion about. It's my favorite strategy game of all time. Total War Warhammer 3. And I don't know if you know about the issues of Total War Warhammer 3 recently. CA had a bunch of issues that have been happening. CA is the team behind Total War Warhammer. It was a very disappointing year in general, and there's a few reasons why. So I wanted to talk about. Yeah, Taste the Rim. I agree. Total War Warhammer 3 is my favorite strategy game of all time. And before that, Total War Warhammer 2, which I only started playing about I think 2.5 years ago, swiftly rose to be at the time my favorite strategy game of all time until 3 came out. Now the interesting thing is that CA has had a lot of issues over the past few months with Total War Warhammer 3. While I very much dearly love the game, that in no way takes away from CA's issues. So let's read their. They had a very, very good note about this. Apparently, I was told to read this on stream by Arngrim, and let's see what they said. Okay, a message from Total War's leadership team. Total War, dear Total War fans, I'm Roger Cullum, Vice President at CreativeAssembly, and writing on behalf of our Total War leadership team. Okay. I can tell already, guys, this is going to be an apology. That's good, because they needed to do one, and it looks like they're doing one. I'm excited. It's been a difficult few months. Understatement, but yes. And we recognize that we have made mistakes when it comes to our relationship with you all. It has been a constant conversation internally on how we get back to solid ground. Okay. All right. I'm liking this. What's clear is that it won't be easy, and that it'll take some time and effort. We see the confusion, the frustration, and the distrust of us across the community, and honestly, it breaks our hearts. Well, let me tell you, CA, having only worked with you and only started becoming a fan of you since Total Warhammer 2, it was breaking my heart even more than anyone. So, but breaking our hearts more than yours. So, but okay. We make games to bring you joy, to inspire a love of history, of fantasy, and strategy games. Total Wars are everything, and we care about it as deeply as you. Recently, it's clear that we've failed to demonstrate it in our actions. We are sorry. Okay. All right. Strong start. Now, let me give you guys some context. When they say Total Wars are everything, we care about it as deeply as you, that rang hollow over the past few months for a couple of reasons. I don't know if they're going to go into... Looks like they are going to go into it. Wow. Oh my god, they're really going to go into a lot of this. Okay. So, they're going to talk about a whole bunch of stuff. But, they had a game release that completely and utterly failed. Total War Pharaoh, which is like their historical side. And apparently they released it as a $60 game, or is it $70? I think it was $60. And it was a complete broken mess, and it was basically a glorified DLC. So it was like super short, very, very shallow, and just, I mean, the fact that it was $60 for the sheer lack of effort that they put in, especially compared to their other Total War historical series franchise games, was absolutely ridiculous. And it really, really rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. To compound upon that, they had a very, very big issue with a chunky... Now, as much as I love Warhammer, one of the big issues with Warhammer, with Total Warhammer, is that they have a shit ton of DLCs to buy. Like, it's I wouldn't say it's as bad as Paradox Gaming's way of doing DLCs, but it's pretty rough. Where if you want all the characters and everything from Total War Warhammer, you gotta buy like well, you had to for a while, buy all of the previous games, as in Total Warhammer 2 and 1. And you needed to do that even to unlock Immortal Empires for a bit. Finally, they changed that just about 4 months ago, which was a very good change. But the fact that it took like a year and a half of Total Warhammer's release in order to do that was, quite frankly, fucking ridiculous. And in order to get all of the heroes and everything for the Immortal Empires, you had to buy like what is, I don't even know what the total DLC cost would be, but it was like, Jesus, it was like freaking I would say what, $300 odd worth of DLC at full price. I've never bought one of their DLCs at full price until Warhammer 3 came out, by the way. So this is saying as someone who waits for sales generally, But man, that was ridiculous, like the amount of DLCs. That being aside, the most recent DLC was the Shadows of Change, and we'll go into detail about this as we read this thing. But the Shadows of Change DLC released at a higher than normal price of the DLC with less content. So normally for the price of the DLC, they have different price points for their DLCs. Sometimes Sometimes it adds an entire race, and those are the larger DLCs. And with that, that's the higher price, and that's fine. You're adding an entire new race or whatever, and that is it's a lot of content. So that's totally fine. You're adding new campaigns, you're adding new sections of the map. Sometimes it's a lot. So we get it, and the Total War Warhammer community generally is very understanding about this and buys DLCs at full price. They are willing to support the company, and they understand that hard work needs some payback, and that's fine. But the DLC, and then like the lower tiers, like you add a couple of heroes, or you add like a hero and one legendary lord or something, and that's like, you know, a $5 DLC or something, or it should be. But what they released in Shadows of Change was I think it was, it ended up being, what, $35? No, $30 for the DLC or something. And it was like a fraction of the content as well. So it was just a complete slap in the face. And then when people, like, you know, reacted about it, being like, hey, this is kind of like unfair. Like, what are you guys doing here? And the leadership team at Total War Warhammer, at CA, who makes Total War Warhammer, they were like, hey guys, we're sorry, this game is expensive, and frankly, this is the new price. Take it or leave it. If you don't want to pay this price, we're gonna make less content for this game. And everyone was like, excuse us? Because the reason that rang hollow, especially, was the entire failed fucking experiment that no one asked for from CA, where they created Hyenas, and they spent hundreds of millions of dollars and development time as well, taking people away from the actual good games that they make, as in the Total War games, and they put it on the fucking Hyenas games, which was a looter shooter bullshit game. Like, it was a games and service bullshit game that no one wanted, no one asked for. We saw this trailer like a year and a half ago, or is it a year ago? And everyone, and I remember I watched it with you guys, and we were all like, what the fuck is this? And I was like, guys, this is made by the Total War Warhammer people. And everyone in my chat that we had a lot of people that were Warhammer fans in the chat at the time, and they're all like, wait, what? This is CA? What the fuck are they doing? And dude, they spent literally $200 million or something on it. I don't know. We'll have to look up the number. Let's look up the number right now. Let's be sad. Let's be sad at the waist.
Great ass.
There we go.
And you got your hand.
Exactly. Guys, chill on the things. I'm trying to do this talk right now, guys. Okay, so let's see. CA money spent on Hyenas. Let's see. Kenya's. Okay, great. I can't spell. Definitely not what I meant. There we go. Okay, $90 million. The Hyenas budget was $90 million, guys. 90 million. 90 million smackers. And then Hyenas was so bad, shocker, they don't make games as a service games like this. Like, why would they try to do this now? So shocker, it wasn't even really that good of a game. It was Sega's biggest budget game ever, and then in October it was canceled. So it was just money down the fucking drain. And as a result of this Hyenas game, the Sega team actually fired a whole bunch of people from CA. So it was just like compounded shit upon compounded shit upon compounded shit. And it was just absolutely ridiculous. And us loyal fans of the Warhammer series that actually like their, like, you know, good games, we're the ones that get shafted. Because there's less people working on our games that we like, and we have to pay more for less content. So it was just like really not good, just in every single way. So finally, let's get back to the statement. So that's some context for you guys. That's what happened. We see the confusion, frustration. We try to make Total Wars our everything. Okay, so finally they're saying that it's our everything, and we're sorry. We cannot fix our issues overnight, but we will work towards a more transparent and consistent relationship with you all. Total War is a big and complex ship to steer, built on decades of knowledge, passion, and technology. This is true. The slow and steady pace we've taken up till now has benefited us in the past, but today we see we need to react faster to help address the challenges that are ahead of us. This is also a giant understatement. One of the worst things about Total War Warhammer as a game, straight up, is that Total War Warhammer, if there's like any issue with the game, it takes them months to fix like the smallest thing. And so like we'll have a patch in Total War Warhammer where they increase the mass size of, and this is something that happened, where they increase the mass size of cavalry. Sounds great on paper. However, what they did was they increased the mass size of cavalry so much that basically if you didn't have like nothing but cavalry on your team, you were essentially just throwing. And at that point, if you're playing, especially if you're playing online, even if you're not playing online, like you just get one cavalry unit and that thing is just destroying everything in the entire game. You're just like, this is really unbalanced, man. Like this is really, really ridiculous. They did this, and then it took them like a month and a half to fix that one issue. And then there was another issue right before that where they had like a big issue with countercharging. And countercharging basically made it so the entirety of, you know, creating a formation and having like a defensive formation where cavalry has to like go through your spears or something was essentially useless. And that changed the entire gaming landscape online for like because I used to dabble a little bit in PvP here and there, but it also like happened in the game itself, the single player game. And so like it's just like, what the fuck am I doing an actual strategic formation? This takes the strategy out of a strategy game. Like this is ridiculous. Like it, and it's just like, you know, they moved to 0 in the wrong place for like, you know, a certain multiplier or whatever, and that changes the entire game. Like that's how the game's balance works. But the problem is it takes them months to fix this. If it took like a couple of weeks, it's not a big deal, but it takes them absolutely forever to fix anything. So I really hope that they're, you know, slow and steady. Certainly slow. I wouldn't say it was steady, to be fair. Anyways, let's talk about those challenges and see what you can expect from both Total War Warhammer 3 and Pharaoh going forward. Pharaoh is the field game that I was talking about earlier. Total War Warhammer 3, we have listened to your feedback about the Shadows of Change, and we know that we failed to meet your expectations of what a DLC should be. Yes. To address that, we're enhancing our offer for everyone who purchased Shadows of Change. I did not buy it, by the way. Shadows of Change was the first DLC since I started playing Warhammer, Total War Warhammer 2, 2.5 years ago. It was the first DLC that I did not buy on release. And that's saying something, because I love this game. When I'm saying this is my favorite strategy game of all time, I am in no way speaking in hyperbole. It is my favorite strategy game of all time. And I did not buy that DLC, which was a bad sign for them. Like, I'm a loyalist when it comes to certain things like this. Like, dude, I really like supporting teams that I feel passionate about. And this was one of them. But like, this was just such a drastic thing that I didn't even buy it. And that's crazy. We're targeting a major update to Shadows of Change, which will arrive free for everyone who owns it. We have the goal of releasing this update of February 2024. That's fine. If it takes a couple of months to fix this, I'm totally fine with that. At which point it will become part of the package for everyone who buys it in the future. The launch date is our ambition, but it isn't concrete. That's totally fine. I'm okay with this. I like that they're trying to add stuff to it. It may move, and as soon as those plans are finalized, we'll let you know and keep you in the know as we get closer to the release. When we return in the new year, you'll hear directly from the game director, Richard Aldridge, and the Warhammer 3 team, who will start to talk to you about what this expansion of Shadows of Change will look like. Making this right is important to us, and to do this properly, Thrones of Decay, which is their next DLC, by the way, that was announced a while ago, will move out of its intended release date of winter 2023, and will instead launch in April of 2024. Totally fine with this. I am glad that they're trying to fix this. This makes me happy. I do not mind a delay. Any gamer worth their salt and any gamer that is like actually passionate about this game does not mind a delay in release in order to fix the issues that are prevalent with this game. And I'm very glad that this is happening. We also have more work to do on Thrones of Decay to make sure we don't repeat our past mistakes, thank God, and to give you the amount of content you rightly expect from us at these price points. Okay, it looks like from their verbiage, it looks like they're actually understanding the issue here. This is good. Once we've launched our free update to Shadows of Change, we'll talk more about what this next DLC will offer and how it'll add to your experiences of Warhammer 3. We will make sure that you know exactly what's coming in Thrones of Decay before pre-orders become available, and make sure that you have full transparency around the content you see before you see the buy now buttons. This is also a very big issue, and I'm very, very glad. Like, this is a huge thing. This is absolutely a gigantic thing. Transparency was a big problem with CA's DLCs and such, and I'm glad that it looks like they're listening, guys. Like, I'm shocked to say it. I'm really impressed to see that they might actually be listening here. After Thrones of Decay releases, we'll reveal what is next. Our work behind this beloved series is not finished yet. One would hope not, because Warhammer 2 had DLCs for, like, fucking, years. Like, years and years and years. Like, right up until, the release of Warhammer 3. It had, DLC releases for Warhammer 2. Hell, I think even after Warhammer 3, they had one DLC, if I'm not mistaken, for Warhammer 2. I could be wrong on that. Since 4.0 went live, we changed up how we approach making updates to the game as well, releasing 10 hotfixes as well as patch 4.1, all targeting issues we've seen emerging with each subsequent update. Thank God, because every single time they fix something, they fuck up something else. So the fact that they're at least trying to fix all their mess ups, this is good. This is good, buddy. And Shade Slayers, I'll talk about that in just a second, all right, buddy? Give me a moment. It's an increase in the number of game updates that we usually release, and we want to keep this cadence of releases going forward. We can't commit to a fixed number of updates each month, as we'll ultimately release these based on the content that we're building. And the issues you see raising that need our attention. However, over these past few months, we've released a game update roughly every 2 weeks, and where we can, we'd like to stick through that to 2024. Good. As long as they keep targeting, like, the major issues at least, I'm very happy, because like the Total War strategy gamers in general, and especially Total War players, are very, very, very vocal. There's like a huge community in the Total War community that is like just at least like, you know, tries to give bug reports, tries to say like, hey, this is an issue, and frankly, like, I was one of those people. I would submit a whole bunch of bug reports to CA, and it felt like they were just not listening at all. I kind of just stopped like even trying. About a year ago, I was like, dude, I'm just wasting my time at this point. So the fact that they're, you know, listening to this is a very, very heartening thing. Okay, now the big elephant in the room, guys. Total War Pharaoh. This was the game that released in a broken state. And it was just like, they released it at $60, and it was ridiculous. Oh my God. We want to make sure you're aware of a decision that we've made internally surrounding the game Total War Pharaoh and what we expect the DLC that we've been working on. I'm shocked that they're even working on a DLC for this trash-ass game, but okay. There's some important information here that affects all owners of the game, so please read through this part carefully. All right. In the next few days, all current owners of Pharaoh will see that Steam has processed a partial refund for you. And some of the funds have been added to your Steam wallet as a result. This is happening because we've lowered the price of the game to a new RRP of $39.99 and you know, subsequent prices. That is amazing, dude. I have really almost never seen a company do this. An actual partial refund. Dude, CA was shitting their pants. And this is a really, 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 really good thing. Also, welcome, Jaffa. It is a pleasure to have you in here. We're just doing some just chatting at the moment, talking about a big game news. So I will, you know, welcome you in earnest right after this. Welcome, welcome, my friend. Pleasure to have you in here. We don't think it's fair that our fans, who put their trust in us on Pharaoh, should in any way feel disadvantaged for you buying a game at the previous price. perfect. This is really good. This is actually like, they're going over and above. This is amazing. This is really, really nice. We've also removed the higher price editions of the game, the deluxe edition and the dynasty edition. Now, this sounds like a big thing, but dude, let me tell you that when Pharaoh's launch was a failure, I can tell you, like, as few people who bought Pharaoh, almost no one bought the deluxe or dynasty edition. So removing this is not actually like a big deal. This is like the Band-Aid. Honestly, considering CA's track record on these types of issues, Stapo, as much as I love CA for the game that they made with Warhammer 3, them doing this is all I expected. Removing Deluxe and Dynasty and doing like no other change, that's what I expected. The fact that they're doing these price changes, the partial refund, that is gigantic. That is actually gigantic. Our next update, and what was originally our first paid DLC, will release in early 2024, but as a free update for everyone who owns the game. That is great. So now the DLC is also free as well. So you're paying 2/3 the price, and you're getting a free DLC, a free LC. Okay, this is a giant apology from CA. This is CA saying, unlike most game companies out there, they're actually saying, we're putting our money where our mouth is. We fucked up here. We're sorry. And here's some actions to prove it. Normally, like, dude, these apology statements, oh my god, man. I've seen so many apology statements from game companies. We'll do a tier list of apology statements at some point, guys, because, you know, for EA games, Ubisoft games, like, dude, we've seen a lot of apology statements. And I have to say, like, this one is actually a good one because they have done action already. They're planning future action. They're showing, yeah, Cyberpunk had a huge apology as well. We talked about that one earlier tonight. Apology tier list. I mean, honestly, there's so many at this point. Over even the past time that I started streaming 4 years ago, Shade Slayers, there have been so many that I could make a legitimate tier list out of them. Bethesda, yeah, Bethesda had a few. Yep, exactly, yep. Fallout 76's apology was high quality memeage. But anyways, okay, we've now become the process of reassessing what comes next for Pharaoh. And while we don't have all the answers today, we want to make it clear that we're not closing the door on other more ambitious updates to the game in the future. We still got big plans, but we want to be honest with you in saying we've got to spend more time with them before putting them on the show. I appreciate that, but honestly, having seen a lot of Pharaoh, I think they should just let that one die. Just release the DLC, lower the price. If people start playing it, then, you know, maybe put some effort into it. But if they don't, then maybe just, like, write that off as, like, we fucked up. Let's just do better with our next game release, in my opinion. I don't know, but that's just me personally. But I'm glad that they're at least, you know, keeping their eye on it. While we've removed the Dynasty edition of the game from our lineup and have internally changed up our plans for what we got to do next, we'll still be releasing incremental updates to the game that will help bring bug fixes and changes to the core experience along the way. That's good because it needs it, for sure. It definitely needs fixes, a lot of fixes. One plan we've always had since the early development is to expand the size of our campaign map as a free update. Yeah, one of the big things about the map, guys, like, this is actually one of the big sticking points of Pharaoh. The map size of Pharaoh, I think, someone did, like, a comparison. People that have played far more Total War games than I have. I'm only specialized in Warhammer. And I'll talk about that in a minute, One-Handed Dream, absolutely. Pharaoh had, like, apparently, like, a map size that was 1/3 the map of pretty much every other Total War game, including the historical Total War games. And it was just like, dude, what is this, like, baby game, man? What is this bullshit? So yeah, I'm glad that they're at least looking at it. Shogun 2 is a must. Yeah, I heard Shogun 2 was really good. I heard Rome was really, really good. Like, there was a lot of the historical games are really, really good. Personally, I love the fantasy style, so I probably will be hard pressed to play them. But I'm glad that those have, like, a strong community and people love those games for sure. And I was really sad because, like, I believe in CA to make good games. I mean, like I said, Warhammer 3 is my favorite strategy game of all time. And really, I felt like the players who played Pharaoh deserved better. Like, anyone who plays these games deserves better. So it looks like they're wanting to do better. So I have to give them props for that. Finally, before we sign off from today's blog, we're going to talk about how we can include more of your voices in what we do. We want to expose more of what we do behind the scenes. Our goal is to invest more in our player channels moving forward, introducing more voices from the studio who can speak directly to you about their work and how it relates to what you want from our titles, and more importantly, to keep listening to your feedback. This will be a work in progress, so do bear with us, but this is our direction moving forward. Honestly, if they respond to like the large content creators, because the Total War Warhammer community has an amazing breadth of content creators that are so passionate about the game and constantly make videos and very high quality videos showing, not even talking about, but also showing the issues in game of like the various bugs and how to fix them and what exactly is the problem and so on and so forth. So even just doing that would be a step forward, again, to be fair. We again apologize for the missteps we made. The mistakes of Total War are a shared responsibility by all the leaders of our franchise, and while it may not seem like it at times, we are listening. This statement really does show that they are, to be fair. We really hope that the extra love we're pouring into Warhammer 3 DLC, our several recent updates, and changes for Pharaoh show our heartfelt commitment to these games and to you. We know we have a lot more work to do, and this one letter does not amount to any proof yet of the future. True. You'll need to see the change before you believe it. You will hear from us again in the changes upcoming to Shadows of Change, and on what you can expect for Pharaoh when we return from the holidays, and you'll continue to hear from us on the Total War leadership team once we settle back to the flow of the new year, and we'll keep bringing you more news on where we're at. Where we make mistakes in this next part of our journey, we'll work hard to act faster to address them, to iterate while we learn from those moments, and to keep taking steps in the right direction. We hope you can find patience as we find our footing again, and we hope in the coming months we can prove to you with actions along with words. Honestly, this is a 10 out of 10 apology. I am impressed. I am absolutely impressed with this. But yeah, I completely agree. I think this is a really big step in the right direction. And let me just track what Minkwa said, because she was talking about something directly related to this. Basically, they have too much tech debt in Warhammer 3. It'll never be the way we all want. CA pissed too much money away and underfunded the tech and overcharged the customers. I'm done with CA. The Egypt game was shit too. Yeah, a lot of people feel that way, Minkwa. I completely agree. Now, I think this is a step in the right direction, but I think that no one should ever pre-order anything from CA ever again. Like, I will never pre-order anything from CA. I actually pre-ordered Total War Warhammer 3, and I can tell you that while we played it at launch, we stopped playing it at launch until they added Immortal Empires, because the game was that shitty for an entire year. So this is nothing new with CA. Like, these kinds of things really happen. Never pre-order, period, absolutely. But Shadeslayer, they're like big fans for specific games that really put their heart and soul into like supporting these game devs and stuff, which is totally good. Like, I really respect that. But I think CA, even from those hardcore people, and I was one of them, and am one of them, I still consider myself a hardcore CA fan. I will never pre-order a game or DLC or anything from CA ever again. Straight up. Like, they've burned me too much. And I've only known them for 2 years. Like, I can't even imagine how you feel if you've been playing since Warhammer 1 or something. Like, oh my god. Holy shit. So thankfully, regardless of all of that, generally, of course, never pre-order, but definitely never pre-order CA. Now, but in the meantime, this is a W apology. This is just a W, and I certainly hope it's a step in the right direction. It sounds like one, and they are completely correct when they said it 10 times in a row. Our actions will speak more loudly than words. These are only words right now. There are a couple of actions, to be fair, with Pharaoh being lowered price, the partial refund, everything like that, but still. Future actions will speak more loudly than words, because I don't want to see a repeat of this. I don't want to see a repeat from any company doing these kinds of things, but especially not a company as historic and storied as CA. There you go. That's my little spiel about it. Now to catch up on all the other fun things. The lovely Jaffamento, how you doing, my friend? I hope you're doing amazingly. Welcome to stream, welcome to the Corey crew. It is great to meet you. Great to have you in here, my friend. Thank you so much for giving us a chance. Sorry, I was doing a little just chatting segment talking about a very specific thing. But I definitely wanted to give you a warm welcome, and if you're still in here, tell me about your night. Tell me what kind of games you like to play, watch, and enjoy. We do a little bit of everything in this channel, full variety, every single night, 45 months in a row. A lot of, I've been adding some more just chatting. I haven't done it for a while. So over the past month or so, I've been doing a lot of that. But we also love full variety of games, so lots of strategy, lots of horror, lots of narratives, silly games like League of Legends. We do tons of open worlds. We play a lot of the AAA games like, you know, the Baldur's Gate 3s and Starfields of the world, but we also do a ton of indie games, including last night we played a shit ton of a brand new indie game as well, which is awesome, called Death Must Die. Super good. So we do a little bit of everything in this channel, my friend. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's only a step in the right direction because they were begrudgingly forced to. Yes, exactly. Completely agree. They were forced into this, Minqua, but a lot of companies, even when they're forced into a corner like this, still respond poorly. I will just say that. Like, a lot of companies really do just the bare minimum. And the bare minimum would be, for example, you know, getting rid of the Deluxe and Dynasty Edition that no one was buying anyways. This is like the lowest rung action here. But the other things that they did, the refunds and everything like that, those are actually pretty big steps. Like, I have to admit, I've seen a lot of game companies come and go. I've seen a lot of apologies. I've seen a lot of, like, you know, band-aid solutions and shit. Nothing pisses me off more than a band-aid solution. But this is better than I've seen most companies do, thankfully. So hopefully it continues. Mainly been playing Souls. Yeah, we love the Souls games. Oh, hell yeah, Joppa. I've not played Liza P yet, but that is absolutely on my list. Absolutely on my list. Liza P, I heard really, really good things about. I don't know if you played a lot of Elden Ring, but Elden Ring was a mainstay. I've not finished it yet, so we'll go back to that someday. But we have a lot of fun with those games. We love Souls in here. I played the entire Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3 on stream over the past couple of years. Right, actually, we ended up finishing Dark Souls 1 for the first time ever right before Elden Ring came out, and then we went immediately to Elden Ring and everything. And it was a beautiful experience. I love those games. Yes, get in the Liza P train. Elden Ring, my first Souls game. Yeah, it really made me happy, Joppa. I love, like, I'm a huge variety guy, and I loved how accessible it was. I loved how accessible Elden Ring was, and how many people it brought into the Souls community. It was one of my favorite things, absolutely.